During the awakening ceremony at Shihai First Academy, Principal Lu Yun's speech sent chills down their spine, while our protagonist Lin Moyu, who is also a Gigachad necromancer, calmly gazes at the array circle. When a student awakens the farmer class, he gets terrified of obtaining such a weak class. Next turn is Xia Shui, who has a crush on our boy Lin. However, when it's our boy Lin Moyu's turn, a thick red aura starts emitting from the array, shocking everyone at the high school. Even the principal and level 80 profession could not believe it. The sky was filled with 1,000,000 undead skeletal warriors. Our boy awakened the legendary class of necromancer, and let's continue.
A voice booms through the school, announcing that the students have completed 3 years of study in the profession system. Lu Yun, the principal of Shihai First Academy, informs the gathered students that today they will choose a profession to determine their fates. He expresses hope that all students will reach the same level as their senior, Su Qianxing, and become pillars of the human race. The students all seem tense. This is Lin Moyu, who was reborn into this world long ago and is now ready to get his profession. This world is like an RPG game, full of dungeons, secret areas, and monsters. After selecting their professions, students gain experience by slaying monsters and raiding dungeons, leveling up to enhance their skills and strength. Countless sages have tirelessly carved out a living space among monsters, resulting in today's stable society. The most popular professions are combat classes, followed by support classes, and then livelihood professions. Combat and support classes are divided into 5 subclasses: low, medium, high, rare, and legendary, but Shihai City hasn't produced a legendary occupation in 10 years. The principal activates the transmutation circle for the profession selection process. Gao Yang asks Moyu which profession he desires most. Yang urges Moyu to share his thoughts while declaring his own desire to be a knight and protect many girls. A student tells Yang that despite Moyu's good grades, he will surely end up with a livelihood profession. Yang tells the student not to say that and points out that Moyu doesn't talk because he doesn't like to. The principal apologizes to Zhang Qian for the bother, but Qian smiles and says it's okay. Moyu recognizes Qian as an array master, which is a rare support profession. The principal says he will announce the students' names, who will then enter the transmutation circle. The first student, Suda, enters the circle and receives a farmer profession, a livelihood class. He is disappointed at receiving such a low-grade profession. The other students believe farming isn't bad as one can upgrade to a grand farmer or even a holy farmer. Another student is pleased to receive the chef profession, claiming his father is also from the same field. Qian looks disappointed and remarks that the students this year are all very average. Qian notes it's been too long since a rare profession was produced, and the principal adds there are only 1 or 2 in the city. Xia Shui's name is called, and she walks towards the circle, hoping to show Moyu who the real genius is. Moyu and Shui are considered the 2 geniuses of the academy, but Shui has always been on top of Moyu. Qian believes Shui has potential. The principal asks why, and Qian explains that Shui's mental strength is more than twice that of ordinary people, suggesting she may become a mage. The moment Shui steps into the circle, a disturbance occurs, and a vision appears, indicating she has received a rare profession. Shui becomes an elemental mage from the combat class, a rare profession. The other students are impressed and praise Shui for being a genius and getting such a good profession. Qian tells Shui she is very good and Shui bows thanking him. Shui sees her friends smiling and happy for her achievement. Shui gives a startled look as Moyu's name is called next. She stares at Moyu curiously. The principal asks Qian what he thinks of Moyu, and Qian notes there is nothing special about him. The principal says Moyu ranks first among the academy's geniuses, but Qian argues that academic performance and class change aren't related. However, the principal considers that Moyu might also get a rare profession. When Moyu enters the circle, a strange phenomenon starts happening, similar to what happened for Shui. Suddenly, the sky gets covered in dark clouds, and a massive ray of light descends upon Moyu. Both the principal and Qian are taken aback as Qian says it's another vision. Seeing the huge vision, the principal wonders if it will truly be another rare profession. Meanwhile, Shui, looking concerned, claims she won't lose to Moyu. A student points towards the sky, shouting there's movement in the clouds. There indeed appears to be a disturbance among the dark clouds as demons begin to emerge. Looking terrified, another student bellows that the clouds are full of undead. A whole army of undead can be seen among the clouds. Shui knows it's all just a vision, but she believes she can't fight that kind of stuff. Moyu has his eyes closed as smoke resembling skulls floats around him. With this, Moyu receives the necromancer, a unique hidden profession under the combat class. Moyu realizes he might be the only necromancer in the world. This profession is not only rarer than rare professions but even rarer than legendary professions. All the students begin whispering about the unique profession Moyu received. Some look impressed, while others look jealous. Moyu thinks the uniqueness of the hidden profession is much better than he expected. Qian walks towards Moyu, telling him to wait a moment. Moyu asks how he can be of service. Qian claims he has never seen Moyu's unique profession before and asks him to demonstrate his skills. These are Moyu's current stats and description of his skills. Moyu notes that his stronger spiritual power fits the necromancer profession, which, like the summoner class, involves summoning skeleton warriors. He then summons a skeleton warrior of iron rank. The spectators are shocked, seeing Moyu actually summon a skeleton from the dark cloud. Qian shoots a laser at the skeleton from his finger, and the system asks Moyu if he wants to counterattack. Moyu commands the skeleton to stay put. Qian points out that he is a level 52 professional, while Moyu is only level 1, yet Moyu's summon is hostile to him. Qian thanks Moyu for the demonstration. Moyu then walks away with the skeleton warrior following him. Yang asks if he can touch the skeleton. Inspecting the skeleton, Yang asks if it is powerful, and Moyu replies that it should be better than Yang. The principal calls Yang's name, and Yang rushes to change his profession as Moyu recalls the skeleton, making it disappear. Moyu then learns that as he levels up, the capacity of the skeletons he can summon will increase. He recalls that when he first changed his profession, he saw a real necromancer and hopes to one day be strong enough to kill a dragon in seconds. A while later, Yang, pleased with his knight profession, says he and Moyu can fight together in the future. After all the students have changed their professions, the principal congratulates them, advises them to work hard and get good grades, and announces that the novice leveling dungeon will open the next day. After the students are dismissed, Shui runs after Moyu, telling him to wait. Once she gets close, Shui says she wants to compete with Moyu and he agrees. Shui declares it's a deal and notes she doesn't want to keep losing to Moyu. Sometime later, Moyu is at home looking at a photograph. He, his sister, and grandma are in the picture, as he tells them about his profession change in his thoughts. At that moment, someone knocks on the door. Moyu opens the door to find the principal there, ready to hand over some supplies. Last year, in Shihai City, Moyu's older sister, Lin Mohun, was admitted to Xiajing Academy alone. The principal had promised her to take good care of Moyu, so he is ready to keep that promise. Moyu thanks the principal for the supplies as the principal tells him to rest well for the dungeon the next day. In the middle of the night, Moyu is startled when the system appears suddenly and begins loading something. The system informs Moyu that he has awakened to the necromancer profession, detailing its requirements and benefits, including information extraction, optimization, and combat advantages. The system grants Moyu the damage transfer skill, which transfers damage he takes to his summons, and he thinks it's godlike. Moyu summons a skeleton warrior with balanced attributes, 75 each in strength, agility, spirit, and physique, at the cost of 10 spiritual power. Moyu realizes the attributes of the skeleton warrior have all increased 5-fold and believes with the damage transfer skill, he will be invincible. The next day, the students gather outside the novice leveling dungeon, where Yang asks Moyu if he wants to team up. Moyu declines, saying that teaming up will slow down their leveling process, causing Yang to get angry. Shui agrees with Moyu, pointing out that according to seniors, going solo when below level 10 yields more express and allows for faster leveling. Principal Lu Yun suggests that all students except Shui and Moyu take support into the dungeon, prompting a student to ask why. The principal explains that Shui needs to level up quickly for Xiajing Academy, while Moyu's abilities are unknown, though supports can team up with him if they wish. The supports all look scared and say they are frightened of the undead. Moyu claims he is also aiming for Xiajing Academy so wants to go solo. The principal reminds Moyu that getting into Xiajing is very difficult and notes that one needs to be at least level 12 before the final trial. The principal also points out that leveling up to level 12 isn't easy since there are only level 8 monsters in the novice dungeon. Moyu confidently says he believes in himself, and the principal encourages him, calling him a good kid. Shui suggests they compete to see who can level up faster, and Moyu gives an irritated look at her competitiveness. Moyu then enters the dungeon and decides to summon 4 undead knights as his spirit has recovered to 40, and it costs 10 per undead. He raises his staff, and 4 undead emerge from the ground, and Moyu commands them to go and kill monsters. The skeletons scatter in the dungeon, killing monsters and giving Moyu a lot of EXP. He thinks eliminating 100 monsters will be enough to level up. In half an hour, Moyu successfully levels up to 2, and these are his improved stats. Moyu decides to summon another level 2 undead knight as the number of skeleton warriors increases to 8, boosting monster kills and leveling up. The skeletons continue slaughtering different monsters, continuously providing Moyu with EXP. Moyu discovers that the skeleton warriors are creating a map and notices some monsters are still alive, so he decides to try his skills on them. He finds a wildcat, points at it, and uses the soul blaze, causing it to turn to ashes in seconds, providing him plus 20 EXP. Moyu acknowledges that the spiritual attacks are too powerful and that the hidden profession is truly awesome as he levels up to 3. With this, he summons 3 more skeleton warriors. The skeletons carry on eliminating enemies, and Moyu continues gaining more EXP. The novice dungeon is for 12 hours, but Moyu has leveled up to 4 in just 4 hours as he decides to go to Shihai Suburbia next time to reach level 8, where there are higher level monsters. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, the principal chats with Xia Dongyang, Shue's father, who thanks him for taking care of his daughter. The principal claims he did nothing, as Shui is very hardworking and talented. Dongyang says he missed Shue's transmutation and is there to see her first dungeon raid, hoping she will be at least level 5 when she exits. The principal notes that they can gauge the students' leveling speed from their first day's performance and warns that if Shui doesn't reach level 5 today, it will be difficult for her to get into Xiajing Academy. He also says that the students will be automatically ejected from the dungeon after 12 hours. Dongyang asks about the hidden profession from yesterday's transmutation, and the principal explains that Moyu received the necromancer profession. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, Moyu summons more skeletons and learns they can only wander 500 meters away from him. Almost 7 hours have passed, and Moyu still hasn't seen any level 8 monsters yet, as he wonders how others are doing. He walks forward, leading his skeleton army when suddenly a branch strikes him in the chest, catching him off guard. Moyu quickly uses the skill damage transfer as he gets sent flying backward. The thing that attacked Moyu is a level 8 monster tree. The archer apologizes for shooting at Moyu, wondering how he is still fine despite being hit. Moyu calmly tells the archer not to do it again. The archer gets startled as he sees the skeleton warrior standing beside Moyu. He then realizes Moyu must summon undead and gives an angry look, assuming Moyu is definitely not a good guy. The mage grabs the archer's arm and warns him not to mess with Moyu. So the two guys turn away and leave as Moyu calls after them to consider themselves lucky. It's nighttime and Moyu is resting on the edge of a cliff while the skeleton warriors continue slaying the monsters. He realizes leveling up from 10 is difficult due to the high EXP needed, and unsure if he can reach level 11 by tonight, he decides to stay and not head back home. As his goal is to get into Xiajing Academy, Moyu is determined to put in more effort than others. Based on his current leveling speed, Moyu hopes to reach level 13 by the next day and assumes he can reach level 16 at max before the trial. He then wonders how his sister managed to level up so quickly and thinks he must have missed something. Moyu wonders if his sister teamed up with others to raid a nightmare difficulty dungeon for more EXP, realizing that's why she must have been wounded back then. He is certain his guess is correct and decides to take a look the next day. It's midnight and someone comes walking towards Moyu while he is resting. Sensing the person, Moyu opens his eyes, wondering if that person might be lost. It's the assassin from earlier who asks Moyu if he has any food. Moyu hands her a sweet potato, and the assassin removes her mask to eat it, revealing a pretty face. Seeing the girl eat the sweet potato so fast, Moyu thinks she must be starving. The girl starts to choke on the food, and Moyu takes out a water bottle. The girl takes a long swig of the water and thanks Moyu, asking what his name is. Moyu, who looks suspicious of the girl, stares at her in silence. The girl asks Moyu if he doesn't like talking and suggests they analyze skills with each other. So the two of them point at each other using the analytic skill. But the analysis fails as the girl smilingly asks Moyu if he didn't get anything. However, the girl is able to see all of Moyu's info as she says she has never heard of the necromancer occupation before. She then recalls seeing the skeleton standing next to Moyu and asks if it was his summon. Seeing Moyu not talk, the girl asks why he isn't talking and asks if he is muted. Moyu asks why, and the girl looks delighted realizing Moyu can talk. Moyu asks why again, and the girl shows him a badge, explaining it prevents anyone below level 10 from using analytic skills on her. She then removes the badge and tells Moyu to try the analytic skill on her again. So Moyu uses the analytic skill and learns the girl's name is Ningyi, and she is a level 19 shadow assassin. At that moment, both of them sense some enemies approaching them. Moyu learns that 3 guys are trying to surround him and Ningyi. Looks annoyed as she says that those guys have been following her for days just for a mid-rank skill scripture. Tells Moyu she will leave now when suddenly an arrow comes flying towards her from behind, which she barely dodges. Out of nowhere, a red circle surrounds Moyu and with small marking arrows at their heads. Curses as she realizes the arrow hovering above her is a marking arrow. Moyu is surprised the archer has anti-invisibility skills, as the marking arrow makes enemies unable to enter invisibility, making them easy targets. The blonde guy walks forward, pointing out that Moyu and have nowhere to run now. The archer is on a tree branch while the blonde and another guy stand before Moyu and calling them a perfect duo of an assassin and a malicious undead summoner. Tells the guys that Moyu has nothing to do with her and agrees to give them the skill scripture if they go away. The archer says that it's no use now as he reveals their intention is to kill E. E offers to buy some time and tells Moyu to run as Moyu asks what about her. E points out that she is a shadow assassin, so she has her ways to get out of this. But Moyu is not sure if E can escape since she's already marked and she can't use her invisibility skill. The archer bellows out to his companions that they should attack E and not waste time. The blonde guy raises his spear, which begins glowing, and grinning says he wants to kill Moyu along with E. He uses the illumination skill and summons a massive glowing round thing high above the sky, which lights up the whole forest. The blonde reveals that he used the illumination skill to chase away the darkness, so E can't try and escape with her assassin skills. E draws out her knife and decides to give it all she has. The three guys all prepare to launch an attack. Moyu and E are surrounded from all three sides. Moyu raises his hand and summons the skeleton warriors. The blonde gives a disgusted look seeing Moyu summoning undead. He hurls a powerful fireball at Moyu, aiming to blow him up into ashes. E swiftly locks her arms onto Moyu's from behind and shouts at him to run. But she is unable to move as she notices her leg has been tied with spiritual strings. The archer shoots 3 arrows with triple damage straight at the two of them. E sees the arrows coming at them and pushes Moyu away from harm's way. Now the fireball comes flying at Moyu while the arrows come at E. A skeleton warrior gets between E and the arrows while another skeleton takes the full blast of the fireball on itself, defending Moyu. The skeleton seems to have blocked the arrows with its sword. One skeleton slams its weapon onto the guy with the shield. The force of the attack sends that guy flying backward. The skeleton that took the full force of the fireball is unhurt. Seeing this, the blonde is shocked asking how is this possible. He is unable to understand how he couldn't kill Moyu despite being a level 21 mage. The other two guys are also bewildered, realizing their skills have no effect on Moyu's summons. Suddenly, a number of small white flames appear behind all three guys, startling them. From every side, dozens of undead begin appearing, surrounding the three guys in a circle. E is shocked, wondering why Moyu's level 10 summons are so strong that they resist the level 20 mage and archer's attacks. And also seeing such a large number of undead, E thinks it's too much. She then turns towards Moyu in admiration and sees his eyes are closed. When Moyu opens his eyes, they appear to be glowing. These are the stats of Moyu as he is at level 10 now along with his talents description. The blonde guy summons a barrier around himself as the skeleton warriors charge at him, but a skeleton easily pierces through the barrier with its sword. The barrier shatters, pushing the blonde back slightly with a force. The blonde swiftly raises his spear and summons a ring of flaming fire, lifting the skeleton's feet off the ground. He gives an evil laugh, shouting at the skeletons to have a taste of his power. However, his laugh ceases as he sees the skeletons jumping at him with their weapons raised. Before the blonde can even react, the skeletons cut through him. The archer is bewildered seeing his companion get instantly killed. The skeletons chase him as he flees but realizes he can't escape now. Meanwhile, the last guy summons a shield barrier that the skeleton can't pierce, surprising Moyu. Moyu reveals that this kind of defense by that guy who is level 20 can withstand the attacks of a level 40 mage. However, that guy starts sweating from fear, finding the skeletons terrifying and regretting coming here. Moyu instructs the skeletons to use skills to defeat the man. As instructed, one of the skeletons activates Berserk Strike, causing his sword to be set in flames. The skeleton then slams his sword down on the barrier, causing it to be destroyed. With the barrier gone, all the skeletons lunge at the guy, who is open-mouthed in terror. Moyu remembers his sister had told him to always do anything he sets his mind to do and not hesitate. He realizes that all three guys are now dead. Moyu knows that when a professional dies, the items in their storage will drop and decides to see what those three dropped. Upon inspection, he acquires a staff, a bow, a shield, and a sword. He looks at the loot and points out that those weapons are dropped in the dungeon of Carmen's Orc Legion, which is a level 20 dungeon. Moyu collects all the weapons and stores them in his system storage, deciding to sell them later. Moyu also receives a primary scroll worth 10,000 gold coins, wondering if he should sell it or use it, while he tells him to use it. He tells Moyu the scroll is a primary one and not worth much, suggesting he use it. Moyu asks how. He tells Moyu to say use while holding the scroll. Moyu does as asked, but nothing happens. He laughs and tells Moyu to say use louder, not so softly. Moyu realizes the scroll must require spiritual energy to activate, so he then injects his spiritual energy into the scroll and it begins to open. Once it opens, Moyu receives a corpse explosion skill which he thinks is good. This skill will cause the corpses to explode, and as Moyu believes, the explosion's radius will be 10 meters after being enhanced. On top of that, when one corpse explodes, it can set off a chain reaction and explode other corpses nearby, making it an invincible AoE skill. Curious, he asks Moyu how it is and if he learned a new skill. Moyu says he did get a skill, and he tells him to talk more as his voice is pretty. Moyu finds Yi a bit different from the other girls in his school. Moyu compliments Yi back, telling her she has a nice voice too, and she thanks him, blushing. Yi gives Moyu a chest as payment for saving her life. Opening the chest, Moyu finds it contains a precious intermediate skill scroll. Moyu wonders why Yi is giving him this scroll, as she was chased earlier because of it. Yi explains she discovered a hidden chest in Carmen's dungeon at Chaohai City and notes it was just luck. When Yi had opened the chest, she found this intermediate scroll. But she didn't know that those bastards were watching her, and then they tried to snatch the scroll from her. Because of that, Yi claims she ran, and those guys chased after her like stink bugs. Moyu mentions Yi nearly died moments before, and Yi claims she'll be automatically teleported away if critically damaged but thanks Moyu for preventing her from getting hurt. Yi says it's painful to get hurt and that she is scared of it. She then sees Moyu is holding a sweet potato and points at it, declaring she wants it. Chewing on her food, Yi asks Moyu which university he plans to attend, and Moyu says Xiajing University. Yi claims that's a good university, and she believes with the skills Moyu has, he should be able to get into any university easily. She then tells Moyu to head over to Xinxia Tower when he gets into Xiajing University. The Xinxia Tower gives people double rewards on the first clear, so Yi suggests he should clear as many floors as he can on the first try. Yi says that way Moyu will get a lot of points and also mentions a certain seminary in Xiajing where Moyu can go to visit. After a while, Yi falls asleep and Moyu covers her with a large cloth to keep her warm. Moyu then closes his eyes and begins recovering spiritual energy. Early morning the next day, Yi wakes up, rubbing her eyes and asks Moyu to give her the potatoes as she is hungry. Moyu gives Yi an armful of potatoes, but she says it's not enough and asks Moyu for more. Moyu says that there are none left and smiling, Yi says she believes him. Yi then gets up and announces she will leave to raise her level and hopes she can meet Moyu next time. With this, Yi sprints away deep into the forest. Moyu also gets on his feet and decides he should try out his new skill, looking down at the corpses of the guys he killed yesterday. Moyu raises his hand and uses the corpse explosion skill, causing the nearby corpse to burst into flames. A massive explosion follows, causing the ground to shatter and quake. The explosion leaves a huge crater on the ground, and Moyu realizes the skill's AoE has increased after being enhanced by his talent. He causes the remaining two corpses to explode as well and decides to try the skill in the Shihai Mine dungeon. Since the skeleton warrior is now bronze and requires 70 spirit points to summon, Moyu can summon 4 with his total of 300 spirit points. His current summoning space is 48/100. A while later, he reaches the entrance to the Shihai Mine. A large group of people is already gathered at the entrance, all chatting about their teams in the dungeon. As Moyu walks toward them with the skeleton warrior at his side, he receives glances from everyone. At the entrance, he is given a choice to choose the difficulty of the dungeon, normal or nightmare. Nightmare gives more EXP. A guy from behind asks Moyu if he is a summoner and uses the spell to check his info. But Moyu has the shielding badge, so that guy's detection technique fails. A group of 3 approach Moyu and try to recruit him for their team. But Moyu declares he is not interested. Moyu then selects the nightmare difficulty, and the system tells him to confirm it. Then Moyu mutters the word confirm. With this, Moyu is teleported into the dungeon, leaving the others shocked that he entered alone. They are uncertain if Moyu will return alive, think he is showing off, and decide to wait and see. Meanwhile, Moyu successfully enters the Shihai mining dungeon and immediately smells a strong scent of blood in the air. He notices a level 14 goblin a bit ahead and finds out by analyzing that the goblin has been enhanced, with its stats all increased. Moyu notes that a normal professional can never clear this dungeon if they aren't in a party. Compared to his skeletons, Moyu finds the goblin's stats to be nothing as he commands his skeletons to attack. The skeletons charge forward and slaughter the goblin. Just by killing that level 14 goblin, Moyu receives 4,200 EXP, and seeing such a number, he is shocked. He orders the skeletons to kill more goblins, hoping he will level up a lot. He inspects the map to see all the goblins around and claims he won't let any of them survive. The skeleton warriors continue their killings, and Moyu continues receiving EXP and other items. In just 5 minutes, Moyu levels up to 11 and is now able to of resting, Moyu is now able to summon 4 skeleton warriors again. On the way, Moyu sees a group of people sitting by a campfire and thinks they must be quite experienced. He then remembers Yi, who was quite careless. As Moyu approaches the dungeon, he hears a major commotion among the gathered people and wonders what's going on. It seems the Dynasty Guild is stopping others from entering the dungeon. A member of the Dynasty Guild says that their leader is completing a task inside the dungeon, so no one is allowed. He shoots a fireball at the dude asking to enter the dungeon. From the attack, that dude gets sent flying backward. That dude ends up dying and his team members are in shock. The Dynasty Guild members grin despite having killed someone and say it's no problem killing a useless man. Moyu arrives asking what's going on. A guy explains that the Dynasty Guild is preventing anyone from entering the dungeon because their leader is clearing the monsters inside. The guy says the Goblin King's core is worth at least 30,000 gold, and Moyu remembers getting that core in the last raid. Moyu asks about the core's use, and the man says it can be made into a Goblin King's ring, boosting all attributes and skill levels by 1 but usable only by those level 15 or above. Moyu thinks the ring is powerful while the man points out that the Dynasty Guild leader is aiming for the Xiajing Academy, so he wants the ring badly. Moyu then walks toward the dungeon entrance while that man warns him not to mess with the Dynasty Guild. The Dynasty Guild members see Moyu coming towards them alone and ask him if he wants to die. Moyu's eyes begin glowing and he tells the Dynasty Guild to get out of his way. The guy at the front who killed someone earlier asks Moyu if he's hurt his head and if he knows who he's talking to. Moyu merely warns them to get lost. The man uses an analytic skill and finds out Moyu is a level 12 necromancer and asks him why he wants to enter the dungeon when he can hunt monsters outside. A scared-looking dude tells Moyu to return, warning him that the Dynasty Guild doesn't hesitate to kill others. Meanwhile, the guy from the Dynasty Guild begins to get nervous seeing Moyu's gaze at him. He then raises his staff and warns he will kill Moyu if he takes one step forward. But Moyu continues walking ahead. The guy with the staff instructs his team to kill Moyu. His name is Zhao Ji, a level 25 mage, as he raises his staff and summons a shield around him, telling Moyu he can't break it. Moyu's skeleton charges forward and strikes the shield, causing small cracks to appear in it. The skeleton raises its sword again to strike, causing Zhao to worry it might break his shield and kill him. So he quickly summons a fire repulsion ring and sends the skeleton flying backward before it can strike. Zhao then shouts, telling his team members to attack. One of them charges forward into a skeleton warrior. But the skeleton comes out victorious and sends that dude flying backward with a strike. The skeleton dashes ahead with its sword raised, while Zhao tells his team to aim for Moyu, hoping that if he dies, his summons will disappear. 2 of the archers agree to this and aim their arrows at Moyu, and both of them shoot a total of 6 arrows straight at Moyu. Moyu quickly summons 2 more skeletons who deflect the arrows, leaving the 2 archers in shock. Zhao now learns that Moyu can summon more than 1 skeleton. He then asks his team to buy him some time. After channeling for a while, Zhao uses the Fire Serpent Dance skill, summoning a humongous snake made from flames. As the Fire Serpent lunges straight for Moyu, Zhao is confident Moyu will die now. The spell strikes the ground, causing a small explosion and setting the skeletons on fire. Suddenly, piercing the flames, dozens of additional skeletons charge forward, leaving Zhao open-mouthed in horror. Zhao raises his staff and bellows out to his team to get into formation and attack. The supports begin enhancing the fighter's stats. Zhao notes that his guild is very experienced, with members who work well together, making the guild undefeatable. Lin tells the other guys there to step back. He uses the Soul Flame skill while the archer from the Dynasty Guild draws an arrow. Lin shoots the Soul Flame at the archer, hitting him, and the healers quickly begin to heal him. Zhao gives a smile, thinking the healers are way too good, not aware that the archer is already dead. As the archer falls down, Zhao receives a big shock. Zhao fears his guild might be wiped out by Lin alone. He then commands all the members to attack Lin together. The knight quickly summons a shield to block the skeleton's attacks. But the skeletons continue slamming onto the shield, and the knight says he can't hold on anymore. Zhao shouts out for the team to help the knight and asks where the supports are. The knight's shield gets destroyed, and Lin's spirit flame hits him, covering his body in flames as he lets out a loud shout. Zhao realizes their formation is breaking apart and thinks it's over now. Now panic-stricken, Zhao tries to run away. But Lin tells Zhao there's nowhere to run as the skeleton raises its sword to strike. Zhao is sent backwards by the skeleton's strike as Lin uses the corpse explosion skill. A huge explosion issues, sending flames everywhere. The knight screams out in pain, his body on fire. Zhao's eyes bulge in terror as a skeleton's arm closes in on him. Lin walks forward through the destruction he caused, heading towards the dungeon entrance. He uses the corpse explosion, causing a heavy explosion behind him. The others are unable to believe that Lin wiped out the Dynasty Guild and didn't even leave their corpses behind. They express concern that other members of the Dynasty Guild will come after them and think they should escape. Half an hour later, the Dynasty Guild's leader walks out of the dungeon claiming he didn't manage to get the Goblin King's core. Once out, they notice that the other members of their guild supposed to be waiting there aren't around. The leader is puzzled and asks the girl to send a message to their partners to find out where they have gone. Despite this, the leader begins to suspect something is wrong, so he suggests they leave this area first as it might be dangerous. 1 hour later, Lin successfully defeats the Goblin King. He receives plus 40,000 EXP and other rewards along with the monster core. He inspects the magic book he got and finds it quite useful for the soul flame and corpse explosion. He also levels up to 13 and thinks he needs to clear the dungeon 3 more times to reach level 15 or 5 times to reach level 16. He hopes it will be enough for him to get into Xiajing Academy as he teleports out of the dungeon. Arriving outside, Lin is surprised to see there's no one there and decides to return here tomorrow after the cooldown of the dungeon finishes. The next day, Lin is back at the dungeon entrance, and watching him from afar is Xia Shui, who is now level 10. Shui realizes Lin is going to solo the dungeon and says she won't lose to him. 45 minutes later, Lin is inside the dungeon, standing before the Goblin King, and he now has 72 skeletons he can summon. He points his hand at the Goblin King, declaring it's time for it to wake up. Lin kills the Goblin King once again, receiving the 40,000 EXP and other items. 12 hours later, Lin returns and kills the Goblin King once again, receiving the same rewards. While Lin is resting, Shui arrives and asks Lin what level he is at. Lin says he is level 14, hearing which Shui is open-mouthed in shock as she is only level 11. Shui says that even if Lin has soloed the dungeon, there's no way he should have leveled up so fast. She turns around, saying she won't lose to Lin and starts looking for a party to enter the dungeon, while Lin wonders if she doesn't have a cooldown like he does. 1 hour later, Shui exits the dungeon, glares at Lin, and announces she is looking for a party to return to the dungeon. Lin agrees that Shui is really competitive. 1 hour later, Shui walks towards Lin and sits down on the ground, looking exhausted and says she won't lose to Lin. Once again, she begins looking for a party to enter the dungeon. Half an hour later, Shui comes out of the dungeon, now finally level 12 and still looking tired, says she will catch up to Lin soon. Lin asks Shui if she isn't tired, and Shui replies that she's so exhausted she doesn't want to move, prompting Lin to ask why she is stressing herself so much. Shui gets angry at Lin for asking that and points out that she doesn't want to be overshadowed by him and wants to beat him. Shui mentions she wants to get into Xiajing Academy as well, and Lin suggests clearing the nightmare level to level up faster. Shui points out that as a level 12, no party wants her for the nightmare level, so she's only clearing the normal level dungeon. Finally, Lin asks Shui how she is able to ignore the dungeon cooldown times. Shui asks Lin if he really doesn't know. With a grin, she offers to tell Lin if he says please. Shui reveals that a cooldown item can reset the dungeon's cooldown and hands Lin the one she has. Lin analyzes the cooldown talisman, sees it can be used 10 times, and is quite surprised to learn such items exist. Lin asks Shui if the item is expensive and she says it must be. Shui, looking annoyed, says she needs to clear the dungeon at least 9 more times to reach level 15 and complains about being exhausted. Lin thinks for a moment and offers to party up with Shui so she can level up to 15 without doing anything. Shui accepts Lin's offer and agrees to share her cooldown talisman in return. Lin tells Shui to rest now and that they can start in 2 hours. Exhausted, Shui takes a nap while Lin begins recovering his spirit. 2 hours later, Lin and Shui arrive at the dungeon's entrance ready to go in. Lin clicks on the cooldown talisman to reset the dungeon cooldown. Right before they are about to teleport, Shui sees that Lin has chosen the nightmare level and looks frightened. Once inside the dungeon, Shui notices the monsters have high attributes and asks Lin why he chose the wrong level. Lin tells Shui to stay close while she seems scared they might die. But Shui doesn't want to embarrass herself by running away, so she decides to follow Lin. Lin tells Shui to walk faster and asks if she is scared, which Shui denies. The skeletons begin attacking the goblins on their path, and Shui notices the monsters are doing no damage to them. Shui sprints after Lin, wondering what he is trying to do. A while later, Shui gives a frightened look as she sees the huge-sized wolf king ahead. Lin raises his hand and makes a dead body float upwards, and he uses the corpse explosion to save time, aiming to kill the goblins quickly. A huge explosion kills some goblins immediately, and Shui's experience increases by 30% instantly, surprising her. Even more explosions occur around the wolf king. And just like that, the Wolf King drops dead, shocking Shui. Shui asks Lin if he has been clearing the nightmare dungeon like this every time. She follows after Lin, asking if he's really been solo clearing since level 10, to which he agrees. Shui is speechless, realizing it's been only 10 minutes since they entered the dungeon and they are already facing the final boss, while her previous parties needed at least an hour. Even the final boss is killed in one hit, startling Shui further. Lin levels up to level 15, and seeing this, Shui agrees that the difference between her and Lin is getting bigger. Lin asks Shui if she wants the scepter obtained from the loot. Shui agrees to take the scepter so she won't have to ask her father for money to buy one later. Lin tells Shui to take it and she grabs onto that scepter. Thanking Lin, Shui asks why he doesn't want to use the scepter, prompting Lin to show her a magic book he prefers over the scepter. Shui claims she never saw Lin use the magic book before and thinks it might be too insignificant to use. Lin agrees that gathering the monsters together and using the corpse explosion to defeat them is faster. He then gets on his knees and apologizes to the dead boss, saying it will have to die 5 more times. Shui asks Lin why he is talking to the dead boss, and Lin says he just feels like talking, whether it can understand or not. Shui wonders why Lin has to apologize to the boss for killing it, since the boss exists to be killed. She thinks Lin is a weird person but still finds he's a bit cute. Lin suggests they head out now and then continue again. Once out, Lin uses the cooldown talisman to reset the dungeon cooldown. In this way, the two of them clear the dungeon a second, third, fourth, and fifth time continuously. Shui, looking cheerful, points out that there are still 1.5 days before the big exam, so they can clear the dungeon 2 more times, hoping to reach level 15 by then. Shui then suggests Lin should aim to be the champion. She explains that being the champion yields many points useful for entering Xiajing Academy and also provides a chance to enter the Creation Seminary. The Creation Seminary is the best in the country, with Xiajing Academy filled with talented elites, while the Creation Seminary houses the pinnacle of talent and power. Shui is sure Lin might have a chance to be the second one to enter the Creation Seminary after his sister. Lin thinks of trying to enter the Creation Seminary, while at that moment, Shui notices someone named Gao Yang. She explains that Gao Yang is a level 11 knight but too bad of a knight that he can't tank any enemies. Lin agrees to let Gao Yang come with them. Meanwhile, somewhere in an office, a fat guy is scolding the Dynasty Guild's leader for restricting other people from entering the dungeon earlier. The fat guy, looking displeased, tells the guild leader to stay in the guild and not go anywhere for the time being. The guild leader asks what they should do about Zhao and the rest. The fat guy says he's already sent people to investigate and tells the leader to not bother, pointing out that someone who made half the guild disappear without a trace must be very powerful. One Gao Yang turns around and is surprised to see Lin and Shui there. Yang teases Shui about being with Lin, and she angrily threatens him to stop. Yang apologizes, and Shui invites Lin to join their group after the dungeon's cooldown, promising to help him reach level 12 before the exam. Lin excitedly calls Yang and Shui his saviors, saying the academy he wants to attend only requires level 12 as well. Yang bows to Shui, promising to follow her every order, but she warns that they won't help him if he continues his childish behavior. When Yang jokes more, Shui angrily produces flames, scaring him into asking how long until their cooldowns reset. Shui answers it will be 10 hours. Yang decides to hunt other monsters during that time and walks away, wishing luck to Lin. Suddenly, a massive fireball hurls after Yang, who flees away screaming. Shui complains that Gao Yang is annoying and deserves it, while Lin explains that Gao Yang just likes to tease. 10 hours later, as the three prepare to enter the dungeon, Yang notices Lin has chosen Nightmare difficulty and asks about it, prompting Shui to snap at him not to ask questions. Seeing Yang's reaction, Shui recalls reacting the same way her first time when Lin chose Nightmare difficulty. Inside the dungeon, Yang sticks close to Shui, and when she asks why, he admits he is scared. Lin raises his hand and, using the corpse explosion, kills the Goblin King instantly. Seeing this, Yang is open-mouthed in shock as he bellows out how a boss can die so easily in the Nightmare difficulty. Yang gets on his knees, begging Lin to take him along on future dungeons, while Shui tells him to behave like a knight and act sensibly. Yang croaks that there's no point acting like a knight with Lin around. Annoyed, Lin tells Yang to let go of him, promising to take him along in future dungeon raids. Lin now just needs one more round in the dungeon before he hits level 16 right before the exam. Standing on top of the Great Wall surrounding the city are a group of teachers, all looking forward to seeing the students return. An ugly woman beside the principal says the exam is the next day, while another ugly woman with glasses mentions hearing about 2 school geniuses aiming for Xiajing Academy. The principal agrees and says Lin and Shui are planning to try for Xiajing Academy. At that moment, the ugly woman in glasses announces that someone has arrived. Sujin, a level 12 swordsman, makes his way towards the wall. Another student, Wan Ming, a level 13 Eagle archer, arrives shortly. The 3 teachers discuss the levels of the students that have arrived, noting that no one above level 14 has appeared yet. The principal wonders why Shui, Lin, and Yang haven't arrived yet, worried if something happened to them. A while later, Shui, Lin, and Yang arrive together. The principal seems relieved seeing the 3 of them and wonders what their levels must be. He notices that Yang is level 12 while Shui is level 15. Seeing Shui at level 15, the principal says Shui has an 80% chance of getting into Xiajing Academy. And analyzing Lin, they learn that he is level 16. They are open-mouthed in shock, realizing Lin is one level higher than Shui and must have cleared dungeons non-stop. They also notice Shui is carrying a scepter and Yang a shield, both of which can be obtained from the Goblin King. The principal instructs the students to get into the bus and they will be sent back to the school when everyone arrives there. And he instructs the students to rest well for the examination the next day. The next day, Lin arrives at the school with his spirit fully recovered and 100 skeletons, each with attributes at 2,500. Yang notices Lin and waves at him. The girls gathered there stare at Lin smiling. Shui asks Lin if he is confident and he says he is. Shui hopes they will meet at Xiajing Academy soon. The principal hands each student a teleportation stone, which will take them to the exam site once they break it. Arriving at the examination center, Lin notices there are over 10,000 people there. At that moment, the trial tower activates. A voice echoes out, letting the students know of the rules: no sound allowed, no questions allowed. A bulky guy is surprised they can't ask questions, while another wonders what to do if they don't understand something. Suddenly, the voice booms out, disqualifying those two students on the spot for asking questions. Seeing this, Yang covers his mouth to not produce a single sound. The voice speaks again, saying that the trial tower will give different trials to different professions. The battle-type professions will be given battle tests. Supports will be given various situations to overcome. After clearing the basic trial, the students will be given 3 levels to choose from: normal, nightmare, and hell. The different levels will give the students different results, and they will receive different points. The points will be the final results for the students, which they can use to enter various academies. The students are also allowed to use any equipment they want, but they can't store any items and their storage will be sealed. With this explanation, the students are asked to queue up and enter the tower. Lin realizes that the trial tower is like a dungeon and each student will be sent to different places based on their professions. The examiners, eyeing Lin, wonder if he's the new profession Shihai City reported, hoping he won't disappoint them, and decide to classify him as a rare mage, sending mage-type monsters 2 levels higher at him. A massive monster wielding a staff advances towards Lin. Lin tries to analyze the monster's attributes, but realizes the light around the monster is preventing him from doing that. As the countdown reaches 0, Lin raises his hand, ready to use the Soul Blaze skill, and his single attack successfully kills the monster. Inside the trial tower's monitor room, Ning Xianfeng, after hearing about the new profession, asks the monitoring team to show him. As Lin Moyu kills the monster in an instant, Xianfeng orders another test with legendary profession difficulty, prompting a man to ask if that won't be unfair. Xianfeng notes that it will be fine, and if Lin Moyu passes the second round, he'll offer an extra 1,000 marks. With this, a level 20 Wolf Beastman mage appears before Lin Moyu, which he has to defeat now. Like before, Lin Moyu raises his hand to use the Soul Blaze skill. The Wolf Mage dies instantly, and Xianfeng, smiling, says no further testing is needed and instructs to let Lin Moyu enter the second round of the exams. The voice announces that the first round of exams is over, with 5,220 out of 10,632 students passing, and the results are about to be announced. Shui knew Lin Moyu would be first, but is still surprised to see he cleared the round in just 0.15 seconds. An angry-looking guy bellows out that he isn't even in the top 3 and thinks there must be a mistake. Lin Moyu wonders if he went too far as the voice announces that the second round begins and examinees can choose their own difficulty. With 30 minutes to complete the exam and points varying by difficulty, Lin Moyu realizes the goal is to kill as many monsters as possible in that time. Wang Ziheo, a level 16 rage warrior with a massive sword, chooses the hellish level, confident Lin Moyu can't beat him. Shui notes that elemental mages like her are not adept at close combat but claim they win with quantity. The observers agree Ziheo should get good results as a rage warrior and praise Shui for choosing normal difficulty given her profession. Moreover, they are looking forward to seeing what difficulty Lin Moyu will choose. Lin Moyu notes that this round of exams will test students' combat ability and accepts that enduring for 30 minutes is no simple task for any student. But he is not like others, so he chooses the hellish difficulty. The examiners witnessing this praise the principal for having such excellent students and say he must have hit a jackpot. A level 13 Wolf Beastman appears before Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu sees that this monster is too weak, but understands it must be so that not all of the examinees get eliminated. And he summons 2 skeleton warriors that charge towards the monster. He claims that it's too easy as the skeleton kills the monster. Back in the observation room, Xianfeng is open-mouthed in shock seeing Lin Moyu's summons are so strong. Meanwhile, Ziheo is giving it his all, and Shui is using the fireball to defeat the monsters. The spectators see that Lin Moyu is resting and enjoying a snack while the exam is going on. Shenfeng finds Lin Moyu quite interesting. After 30 minutes, the exam ends, and Yahello, looking tired but happy, claims he killed over 50 monsters. The voice announces the second round is over, with 2,780 out of 5,220 examinees wounded and forfeited, while Yahello, impatient, wants to see the scoreboard. As the scoreboard pops up, Yahello is bewildered to see Lin Moyu has achieved the highest score, way more than him. The monster spawn rate is 1 every 5 seconds, totaling 12 per minute, so with Lin Moyu scoring 1,605 points, he must have killed 301 monsters, leaving Yahello in disbelief. The other teachers praise the principal for having such a powerful student, and the principal, though looking proud, tries to stay calm. For the third trial, students will face a boss-level monster in 30 minutes, and Lin Moyu again chooses the hellish level. A level 15 wolf boss appears before Lin Moyu, and Lin Moyu is surprised to see such a weak monster as a boss. Lin Moyu commands the skeletons to charge, claiming he's a bit disappointed by the easy exam and hopes the final 2 rounds will be challenging. Meanwhile, Yahello is laughing like a maniac as he kills the boss assigned to him. Shui blasts the boss with a fireball. Wanming seems to have covered the surrounding in fog as she battles the boss. Lin Moyu's skeleton uses the rage shot skill and one-shots the boss, seeing which the spectators are even more amazed. They feel like Lin Moyu isn't even trying and hope the 5th round will make him use his full strength. This round, Lin Moyu tops the scores again and notices Yang's score is improving as well. The 4th round of the exam will greatly increase the difficulty, and the students are given a chance to continue or forfeit. Yahello is looking forward to the 4th round, and he wants to do well now. The voice notes that with these results, the Academy can easily enter the top 100 in the Empire, mentions no one forfeited, and begins to read the rules for this round. The rules are students will face 10 waves of monster attacks, with 10 monsters per wave for a total of 100, and the next wave will appear on schedule even if the previous wave isn't cleared. The last wave will be led by a boss level. Each monster killed will grant the students 10 marks, and after clearing all, the total scores will be added. As the exam begins, the first wave of monsters appears. The examiners hold their breath, wondering how Lin Moyu will fare this time, as Shenfeng remarks that this round will also not be a challenge for him. Lin Moyu summons the skeleton warriors as the wave of monsters approaches him. Lin Moyu is confident that 3 skeletons should be more than enough for the monsters. He raises his hand and fires Soul Flame at one of the mage monsters. The flame hits the monster in its face, killing it instantly. The examiners are again open-mouthed in shock upon learning Lin Moyu can summon 3 skeletons at once. Meanwhile, Lin Moyu gives a yawn, finding the exam too boring. Even the examiners are bored seeing Lin Moyu win every round so easily. Shui uses Path of the Flames skill, sending a series of flames at the monster she is fighting. Yahello, with a grin on his face, is kicking and punching to defeat the monsters. Spectators worry as they see the waves of monsters stacking, believing they will overwhelm the examinees. Yang gives a proud look, declaring Lin Moyu his brother and very strong, and recounts how Lin Moyu soloed a nightmare difficulty dungeon. After a while, only 5 students remain. The 4 others are fully focused, while Lin Moyu lazily enjoys a potato. Feng Xiu, a level 15 Saint Swordsman from the renowned Feng family, uses a strong spell and charges through the monsters. Yahello enters a berserk state, increasing his strength and stats by 500% for 5 minutes, and begins easily smashing the monsters. Lin Moyu looks relieved that it's the last wave. Finally, the 4th round ends, and all 5 examinees pass as the results are about to be announced. Like before, Lin Moyu is first with 3,605 points. The masses of people witnessing the leaderboard are surprised to see only 5 people passed and wonder if anyone will even pass the 5th round. Looking tired but cheerful, Yahello says everything went as expected and claims the 5th round will be the true deciding round. Shui hopes her reaching the top 5 will be enough for her to get into Xiajing Academy. Wanming looks forward to getting into Xiajing Academy. The announcer warns that despite everyone's desire to enter Xiajing University, poor performance in the 5th round could mean not getting in. Lin Moyu and Shui both look nervous as the rules are announced. All 5 examinees will be teleported to a special dimension respectively, and within the dimension, there will be various monsters arriving in large waves. Along with normal monsters, there will be elite and boss-level monsters, and the more the examinees kill, the stronger and faster the remaining monsters will become. Students must brace themselves and keep in mind the changing points allocation, which only they will see, with even examiners unable to access this information. Once the examinees enter the dimension, examiners will only see changes in their points, and the announcer advises them to use any aces they have and wishes them luck. These are the points allocation for all the stages. In the 5th stage, the monsters will be level 19, and each killed monster will provide 800 points. Lin Moyu gets teleported to his allocated dimension, and as he inspects the surroundings, he feels as if a war happened there before. As a huge wave of monsters appears, Lin Moyu wonders if this is set to give the examinees the feeling of being on the battlefield. Level 15 lizardmen warriors come charging towards Lin Moyu as he realizes he is unable to see their attributes and skills. Lin Moyu also notes that the lizardmen have called for help from their companions. When a skeleton strikes a lizardman, the lizardman doesn't die instantly, and Lin Moyu thinks the lizardmen must have good physiques. Lin Moyu hopes 2 strikes should at least do the job. He then uses the corpse explosion, causing a small explosion. Meanwhile, the observers are shocked seeing Lin Moyu has already killed 10 monsters in a matter of seconds. Lin Moyu notes that the lizardmen have called for backup and decides to wait for their arrival to slaughter them. Lin Moyu is surprised to see that the corpses of the lizardmen disappear after just 10 seconds. So he decides to change the plan and summons more skeletons. He then commands the 9 skeletons to corner all the monsters into one place. The skeletons begin rounding up the monsters. With all the monsters in one spot, Lin Moyu raises his hand to use corpse explosion. A tremendous explosion erupts, sending roaring flames surging in every direction. The observers are all shocked as Lin Moyu's points suddenly surge by thousands. Xianfeng, open-mouthed in astonishment, wonders what Lin Moyu must have done and what his true limit might be. Having killed the first wave, Lin Moyu realizes he has to wait a few minutes for the second wave to spawn. Suddenly, massive fireballs come raining down upon Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu calls for the skeletons to surround him so they can block the attacks coming at him. The fireballs strike the ground, setting everything in flames. A lizardman mage, level 16, is the one who used the Rain of Fire spell to summon the fireballs. Lin Moyu sees the lizardman mage and looks forward to returning the favor and attacking back. Amidst the raining fireballs, the lizardmen charge forward. The skeleton warriors get ready to confront the oncoming monsters. Lin Moyu commands the skeletons to charge and the skeletons lunge forward. The skeletons then begin slicing up the monsters. Lin Moyu uses the corpse explosion, causing the dead corpses to explode and resulting in a massive outburst of fire all around. With this, Lin Moyu's score goes up by 600 points at once, shocking the examiners once again. The examiners start to wonder if Lin Moyu's profession surpasses even the legendary classes with such immense power. Meanwhile, back on the battlefield, Lin Moyu senses the aura of death has increased and realizes Phase 2 might be starting. He can see at least 40 beastman packs scattered all around the place. The beastmen consist of archers and warriors, all at level 16, but Lin Moyu isn't worried in the slightest. An examiner claims that only one profession from a century ago passed Phase 3 in the campaign space and believes Lin Moyu, being so powerful, might achieve this feat. Xianfeng thinks Lin Moyu might awaken his talent now and believes it would be beneficial for mankind, as professions with dual talents are 1 in a million. Currently, Lin Moyu is in first place, with Shui in second on the scoreboard. The examiners also realize Lin Moyu has entered Phase 2 now. This is Xiajing, the Xinxia Empire capital. This place is the real location of the Trial Tower, one of the 3 divine towers of the Xinxia Empire. Suddenly, a disturbance causes the air to whirl around. A voice shouts outrageous as a dark energy attack flies straight towards the Trial Tower. The tower gets set on fire as an undead who shot the attack shrieks it can't be stopped. A massive fireball-like attack comes hurling back towards the undead. Another voice booms out, asking if the undead seeks death, as a massive hand made of golden energy approaches it. The undead is slammed onto the ground and claims it's a clone, laughing that the students inside the trial tower are doomed. The hand grabs the undead and crushes it. 3 people hovering near the tower express surprise at an undead from the abyss targeting students in the campaign space with a sneak attack. The 3 claim that the abyssal being sneaked in and disrupted the space, causing abyssal power to pollute the tower's rules, which benefits them since the ground inside the tower is made from abyss soil. Bai Yuan, a top expert of the Xinxia Empire, asks how long it will take to fix the mess. The other replies 1 hour. Meanwhile, inside the tower, Lin Moyu is confused seeing all the monsters suddenly disappear. At that moment, Shui arrives, and Lin Moyu is shocked, wondering why he can see other examinees. Shui mentions she was fighting monsters that suddenly disappeared and asks Lin Moyu if he knows what happened, but he says he doesn't. Yahello appears puzzled as he arrives, followed by other students who begin to teleport in as well. Suddenly, a holographic form of Bai appears in the sky. Xianfeng is surprised to see Bai appear in the campaign space. Bai explains that demons from the Abyss world have invaded the campaign space and are targeting the examinees, and it will take 1 hour to repair the rules and fix the situation. Shui is frightened hearing this, as Bai continues, telling the examinees to stick together and work together to protect each other. Bai also declares that people of Shinxia shall not be afraid to die fighting. Yahello raises his sword and bellows out that they shall not fear to die fighting. All the other students start chanting that they won't be afraid to die fighting. Lin Moyu knows the weakest abyss monsters are level 70 and, seeing Bai's confidence, assumes the invading force isn't strong. The examiners are worried, believing the abyss aims to prevent geniuses from passing the 5th round and weaken the Shinxia Empire. Shenfeng tells the examiners to stop talking and instructs them to tell the people outside not to panic and believe in Bai. The students notice the abyss blood moon has appeared in the sky and all get ready to brace themselves. The knights stand at the front to defend their teammates as the abyss monster declares all of the students there will die. The abyss monster claims that 1 hour will be enough for it to slaughter all of them present there. With this, a level 19 Fury Beastman warrior appears, polluted by the abyss. The students are relieved, knowing the campaign space limits levels to 19, and believe they can fight back. However, they are startled to see countless enhanced elite monsters appear before them. The abyss monster taunts the students, noting there's a monster for each of them. Yahello is unsure if they can win, struggling even to lift his own blade. A girl who seems to have stolen Wolverine's claws looks focused, is ready to fight. Lin Moyu silently follows his skeleton warriors, who have already charged forward. Shui tells Lin Moyu to come back, reminding him there are over 19 enhanced elite monsters ahead. She starts following Lin Moyu despite his insistence that she go back, firmly refusing to leave. Annoyed, Lin Moyu tells Shui to do as she pleases, while the other students watch, puzzled by his actions. The students see Lin Moyu summoning the undead and charging forward, and wonder if they should assist him. And they all decide to join Lin Moyu and follow after him. Some of them refuse to cower from the battle or fear death. The abyss monster laughs at Lin Moyu's bravery and, seeing him advance, offers him the chance to become the Demon King's slave. The abyss monster tells Lin Moyu to seriously consider the offer as Lin Moyu silently continues forward. A while later, Lin Moyu thinks it will be the perfect distance for the corpse explosion to work perfectly. Seeing Lin Moyu suddenly stop, the students following him are puzzled. Lin Moyu raises his hand and begins to summon all the skeleton warriors he can. Within seconds, he summons an army of 100 skeleton warriors. As the skeletons charge forward, Wan Ming notices they are incredibly fast, even surpassing her own agility. The skeletons activate the skill Rage Strike and begin slicing at the monsters. Lin Moyu is surprised that the monsters are still alive after being hit by the skeletons and estimates their strength to be around 3,000. To withstand so many attacks, Lin Moyu thinks the monsters must have over 3,500 constitution, which is advantageous for corpse explosion. As one of the monsters dies, it awards Lin Moyu a total of 8,000 experience points. Lin Moyu then uses the corpse explosion on that dead monster. A huge explosion illuminates the entire surrounding with bright light. Seeing such power, the spectators wonder what is going on. The explosions continue in a chain reaction, causing every monster in their path to explode. Within a short time, all of the monsters get wiped out. Yahello is bewildered,